Todd, tell us, why are you so concerned about this warning from New York City's Mayor Bill de Blasio?
Well, I've been saying for quite some time that I believe the greater threat to the United States is not necessarily the COVID-19 virus, but it is, in fact, the attacks on our civil liberties. And, there's really no other way to say this other than the fact that Americans, by and large, have been willing to sacrifice some of their civil liberties for the sake of their public safety. And that's why I'm very concerned with what's happening here, especially in New York City. But quite frankly, I believe we're looking at great government overreach here.
You say he's threatening churches with permanent building closures if they don't adhere, and you're even calling the situation a police state?
Well, it certainly does seem more like a police state here in New York City, especially in light of the mayor's announcement. Mayor Bill de Blasio just a few days ago put out a warning to every church and synagogue. And he was very clear to reference churches and synagogues who are still meeting. And that has been an issue. There have been some churches, there have been some synagogues in New York City that have still been holding corporate worship and corporate gatherings in their church buildings. And so the mayor came out and said that stops now. He said any church that is worshiping in their building will be shut down. The mayor went on to say that he will use the police department, the fire department, the health department, and building inspectors to enforce these closures. Any church or synagogue that refuses to comply could be subjected to fines. And the mayor said if they continue, the buildings will be permanently closed. Those are his words now, permanently closed.
Do you think the mayor's concern for public safety is greater right now than constitutional rights? I mean, you touched on that earlier in the interview. Do you think New Yorkers see it that way? Break it down for us.
Well, look, I do believe that the mayor is doing this for the sake of public safety. I don't believe he's out there trying to shut down churches for some other, nefarious reason. The mayor, as a matter of fact, said in his press conference that it brought him no joy to shut down the churches. But the issue here is, does the government have a constitutional right to do that? And I do not believe that's the case. As a matter of fact, we've talked to several religious liberty experts, and they tell us that would be an overreach by the government. Now, here is the big issue. There are really two issues here. Number one, the government is being heavy-handed. They do not have a right to tell a church what they can and cannot do. That being said, and here's the other issue, churches have a responsibility to take care of their parishioners and their congregations. And right now, it seems to me to be fairly reasonable to postpone your corporate gatherings and move your services online until this danger passes.
How do we walk the fine line between public safety and constitutional rights in the midst of fighting this virus? Let's talk not just New York City, but the big picture.
Well, look, we've been hearing reports from all over America of police departments showing up at churches and telling them that they will be shut down. We talked to a pastor in the state of Illinois. The local sheriff's department showed up and they were actually counting cars in the parking lot, and they were photographing license plates of people. We had a report from Louisiana where they were told that if they did not shut down their services, the National Guard would come in. The National Guard would be called in. But it goes beyond just churches. Again, we're talking about civil liberties here. That's why in many states you've got governors that are trying to crack down on gun ownership. They want to shut down the gun stores. That's a big problem. So the issue here is a power issue. And it's important for all of us, for every freedom-loving patriot, to make sure that our constitutional rights are not being violated for the sake of public safety.
All right, Todd Starnes of ToddStarnes.com. Thanks for your time, sir.